It was a peaceful morning in the small Italian town of Bellavita. The sun glowed softly over cobblestone streets. Birds fluttered past laundry lines strung between old buildings, and the scent of espresso drifted through the air. Inside a quiet cafe called Café Bella, a young waitress named Layla already moved between tables, balancing trays, smiles, and silent thoughts. She was 22, kind eyes, tired hands, the sort of girl who worked quietly while carrying the weight of the world in her chest. Her mother, Maria, was sick, very sick, and every tip, every coin, went toward medicine. So Layla worked through exhaustion, always smiling, even when she wanted to cry. That morning felt like any other, until it wasn't. At exactly 11:03 a.m., the soft sound of laughter and chatter in the cafe faded, replaced by the deep rumble of engines outside. Three black cars pulled up across the street, engines idling, doors opening. Men in suits stepped out, quiet, alert, dangerous. Then he came, Leonardo Verezzi, a name whispered in every corner of the city, the man no one dared cross. Dressed in black, sharp as a blade, eyes that saw everything and forgave nothing. The cafe owner, Mr. Russo, froze mid-step. The customers went silent. Even the ceiling fan seemed to hesitate. Leonardo walked in like daylight itself was giving him space. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't angry. He just was. And that was enough to make the air heavy. He took a corner seat, the one by the window, where the sunlight broke in gold strips through the blinds. Layla's heart raced as she picked up a tray. She'd never seen a man like him before, not this close. Every movement he made was calm, but there was something sharp beneath the calm. Leela softly, to herself, "He's just another customer. Just do your job, Layla." She steadied her hands and walked over. Leela gentle. "Good morning, sir. What would you like?" Leonardo low, calm voice. "Espresso. No sugar." His tone was simple, yet something in it made her chest tighten, like she'd heard it before, somewhere far away in her childhood. As she turned to walk away, she noticed something, a tattoo on his wrist. It peeked out just beneath the edge of his expensive cuff, a black serpent, curled around a dagger. Its scales glinted faintly when the sunlight touched his skin. Layla froze. Her tray tilted slightly, the cups rattling. She'd seen that tattoo before. Her mother had one. The exact same design, a black serpent wrapped around a dagger, inked just below her shoulder. Maria never spoke about it. Whenever Layla asked, her mother would simply say, "It's from another life, darling. A life I left behind." But now, that same Mark was sitting here drinking espresso inside her cafe. Layla carried the espresso back to the table. Her hands trembled slightly as she set it down. Leonardo didn't look up. He stirred the cup slowly, his silver spoon tapping against porcelain. But she couldn't hold it anymore. Her curiosity, her fear, her confusion, it all pushed out of her mouth before she could stop it. Leela quietly, "Hi, sir. My mother has a tattoo, just like yours." The sound of the spoon stopped. The cafe went silent. Leonardo's hand froze midair. For a moment, the world outside the window seemed to pause. No cars, no voices, no sound at all. Then, slowly, he lifted his eyes. His gaze met hers, sharp, unreadable. Every muscle in Layla's body locked. She wanted to look away, but couldn't. Leonardo low, controlled. "What did you just say?" Leela voice trembling. My mother has the same tattoo. A serpent and a dagger." He didn't blink. He didn't move. He just stared, as if her words had unlocked something buried deep beneath years of silence. The men standing near the entrance exchanged glances. One of them, a tall man with a scar across his neck, shifted slightly, ready for orders that might never come. But Leonardo didn't speak. Instead, he leaned back in his chair. His jaw tightened, his hand trembling slightly near the coffee cup. Leonardo slowly, "What's your mother's name?" Leela hesitant. "Maria. Maria Moretti." The moment she said it, Leonardo's eyes changed. Something flickered there. Shock. Grief. maybe even guilt. He whispered the name under his breath, as if it carried 1,000 memories. Leonardo softly. Maria. The silence stretched. The sunlight seemed colder now, the air heavier. He stood up, sudden, forceful, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Everyone in the cafe flinched. He stepped toward Layla. She took a small step back, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might break. Leonardo low, almost to himself. She's alive. Leela confused. What? He looked at her, truly looked, and in that single second, his mask of power cracked just a little. Leonardo. Where is she? Leela nervous, uncertain. At home. She's sick. Leonardo's expression darkened, but there was no anger, only something deep, buried, and painful. He turned to his men. Leonardo called command. Let's go. They obeyed instantly. As he walked toward the door, Layla's breath trembled. She didn't understand what had just happened, but something told her she'd said too much. Before leaving, Leonardo stopped at the doorway. He turned slightly, his eyes catching hers one last time. Leonardo soft, distant. Tell your mother. The past never forgets. And with that, he was gone. The cafe was silent again, but not peaceful. The air felt heavier now, filled with questions no one dared to ask. Layla stood there, frozen, staring at the half-finished espresso he'd left behind. Her hands were cold, her heart louder than the clock ticking behind her. She didn't know it yet, but that single moment, that single sentence, had just reopened a story buried for 20 years. The cafe had emptied hours ago, but Layla still stood behind the counter, staring at the cup of espresso Leonardo Verezzi had left untouched. His words kept echoing in her head. Tell your mother. The past never forgets. Something about the way he said it wasn't a threat. It was a memory, a wound reopening after years of silence. She couldn't shake the look in his eyes, that brief flicker of pain when he heard her mother's name. Leela's soft whisper. Who was he to her? That night, Layla walked home through narrow streets washed clean by rain. The puddles reflected streetlights like pieces of shattered glass. Her reflection followed her, tired eyes, trembling lips, and a mind drowning in questions. When she reached their small apartment, she found her mother sitting on the couch, coughing softly, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. The faint scent of old medicine filled the room. Leela gently. Mom, can we talk? Maria smiled weakly, her voice fragile. Maria. Of course, sweetheart. You look pale. Long day at the cafe. Layla hesitated. She didn't know how to say it, how to even begin. She sat beside her mother, hands clasped tightly. Leela nervously. A man came in today. A customer. Maria looked up. There was nothing unusual in her expression yet, just gentle curiosity. Leela. He had a tattoo on his wrist. A serpent wrapped around a dagger. Maria froze. Her smile vanished. The color drained from her face as if the air itself had been sucked out of the room. Her eyes widened, the kind of fear that doesn't need words. Her breathing quickened. Maria whispering, What did you say? Leela. I said, he had the same tattoo as you. And when I told him, he looked shocked. He asked for your name. Maria. What name did you tell him? Leela. Yours. Maria Moretti. Maria's hand flew to her mouth. For a second, Layla thought she might faint. She reached out quickly, worried. Leela panicked. Mom! What's wrong? Do you know him? Maria didn't answer. She stood slowly, staring out the rain-soaked window. Her reflection trembled in the glass, the faint outline of a woman haunted by ghosts. Maria's voice trembling. Layla, listen to me carefully. You must forget about that man. Promise me. Leela confused. Forget? Mom, he knew your name. He. Maria sharply. Promise me. Her voice cracked, half anger, half fear. Layla flinched. It wasn't often Maria raised her voice. Her mother's silence had always been her armor. But tonight, that silence was breaking. Leela quietly, heart pounding. Who is he, Mom? What are you hiding from me? Maria turned slowly. eyes glistening with unshed tears. She sat down, her voice barely more than a whisper. Maria, there are things you don't understand, my love. Things that could destroy you. Leela, I don't care. I want the truth. For a long moment, Maria said nothing. The only sound was the rain, gentle, constant, like time itself refusing to stop. Finally, Maria spoke. Maria brokenly. When I was younger, I made choices I can never undo. That tattoo, the serpent and dagger, it wasn't a decoration, Layla. It was a mark. Leela. A mark of what? Maria hesitant. Loyalty. To a man. To a world I should have never entered. Maria's voice trembled as she continued. She spoke of a time long before Layla was born, when she was a singer in a small bar in Naples. A man came often to watch her sing, kind at first, powerful, and patient. That man's name was Leonardo Verezzi. He wasn't the monster the world later called him. He was young, ambitious, and wounded by his own past. He gave her gifts. He protected her. And for a while she believed he loved her. But the deeper she went into his world, the more dangerous it became. Deal secrets. Blood. The tattoo was a symbol, a promise never to betray him. Maria whispering. When I found out what he truly was, it was too late. I had already become a part of his shadow. When violence came for his enemies, it came for me too. Leela softly. So you ran away. Maria nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. Maria. I disappeared before he could find me. I changed my name. I thought, if I stayed hidden long enough, he would forget. She turned to Layla, brushing her hair gently with trembling fingers. Maria emotional. I built a new life for you, away from that darkness. You were my light, Layla. The only thing pure I ever did right. Layla's throat tightened. Leela, Mom, did he hurt you? Maria's silence was answer enough. She just stared at the rain again, whispering softly. Maria, he hurt everything around him. The room felt smaller now. Layla could feel her heart pounding in her ears. A name she barely knew, Leonardo Verezzi, suddenly felt like a storm hovering over their quiet lives. Leela shaking her head. But Mom, he didn't seem angry. He looked shocked, like he didn't know you were alive. Maria turned sharply. Her eyes were full of terror. Maria, you told him I was alive? Leela hesitant. I, I didn't know it was a secret. I just. Maria frantic, gripping her hand. Layla, listen to me. These people don't forget. You can't just mention that name and walk away. You have no idea what you've done. Layla stared at her mother, confusion turning into guilt, guilt turning into fear. Leela voice breaking. Mom, I didn't mean to. I just said what I saw. Maria sank to her knees, clutching her daughter's hands tightly. Maria pleading. Promise me you won't talk to him again. Promise me you'll stay away from that cafe if he comes back. Leela. I promise. But even as she said it, Layla's mind was racing. She couldn't stop thinking about the way Leonardo had looked at her, not with cruelty, but with something almost human, almost familiar. That night, while her mother slept restlessly, Layla sat by the window, unable to close her eyes. Rain still poured outside, a silver curtain between her and the answers she craved. She looked at the old family photo on the wall, just her and her mother. No father, no relatives, just two faces smiling at a world that didn't know their secret. But now, someone else did. Leela thinking, why did he ask if she was alive? What happened between them? She didn't notice at first the faint rustle near the window, the shadow that lingered across the street. But someone was there, watching. A man in a dark coat stood under the street lamp, looking straight at her window. When she blinked, he was gone. Her stomach twisted with unease. Something inside whispered, you've opened a door you cannot close. The next morning, Layla woke to find a folded note slipped under their apartment door. The handwriting was neat, cold. She opened it slowly. Her hands trembled as she read, if you value your mother's life, stop asking questions. The paper slipped from her fingers. Her heart felt like it had stopped. She turned toward her mother's room, the door slightly open, Maria still sleeping peacefully, unaware. Leela whispering, terrified. What have I done? The past her mother ran from had just found its way back. And this time, it wasn't just after Maria. It was after both of them. The morning after the letter arrived, the world looked the same, yet everything felt different. The sunlight no longer warmed the room. The air carried a quiet fear. Layla hadn't told her mother about the note. She couldn't. Maria had barely slept. Her cough had worsened. So Layla decided she would protect her. She tore the letter into tiny pieces and flushed them away. But the words were burned into her mind. If you value your mother's life, stop asking questions. Every knock at the door made her heart skip. Every shadow near the window made her palms sweat. And yet, the worst was still to come. It happened around noon. Maria was dozing on the couch, a blanket around her shoulders. Layla was cleaning the kitchen, trying to drown her thoughts in routine. Then she heard it, the deep growl of engines outside. She froze. The same sound she'd heard 2 days ago outside the café. Layla peeked through the window. 3 black cars lined up near the building. Men in dark suits stepped out, eyes scanning the street. And then she saw him. Leonardo Verezzi. Tall, calm, terrifyingly composed, wearing the same black suit, the serpent tattoo barely hidden beneath his sleeve. Her breath caught. He was coming toward their apartment building. Layla's instinct was to run, to grab her mother and hide. But before she could move, there was a knock at the door. A slow, firm knock. Knock, knock, knock. Maria stirred, her eyes opening in confusion. Maria sleepy, weak. Who is it? Layla's throat tightened. Leela whispering, Mom, it's him. The color drained from Maria's face. She sat up instantly, clutching the blanket around her chest. Maria frightened. Don't open it. Layla, listen to me. Do not open that door. But the knock came again, harder this time. The walls seemed to shake with it. Leonardo calm but commanding, through the door. Maria, it's me. Open the door. We need to talk. The sound of his voice, deep, controlled, familiar, sent Maria spiraling back into the past. Her hands trembled. Her eyes filled with tears. Layla looked at her, torn between fear and curiosity. Leela quietly, Mom, please. What if he just wants to talk? Maria's voice broke. Maria, people like him don't talk, Layla. They take. But Leonardo's tone changed, softer, almost pleading. Leonardo behind the door. Maria, please. I'm not here to hurt you. Something in the way he said it made Maria freeze. It wasn't the voice of a mob boss. It was the voice of a man haunted by something he couldn't undo. Finally, with trembling hands, Maria unlocked the door. The door creaked open. Sunlight spilled in from behind him. Dust floated in the golden light. Leonardo stepped inside slowly, his men staying in the hallway. For a long moment, no one spoke. Maria and Leonardo simply stared at each other, 2 faces aged by years of silence and secrets. Layla stood between them, her heartbeat thundering in her ears. Leonardo softly, I thought you were dead. Maria's eyes filled instantly. Maria, I was. For you, I had to be. Leonardo exhaled, his hand brushing through his hair as if trying to grasp the reality before him. For years, he had buried her memory under anger, under crime, under success. And now, here she was, fragile, alive, standing in front of him again. He stepped closer. Leonardo, why Maria? Why did you disappear without a word? Maria shook her head, her voice trembling. Maria, you already know why. You made me watch everything I love die, Leo. Leonardo confused. What are you talking about? Maria, my brother. Leonardo froze. The name hit him like a bullet. Leonardo slowly. Antonio. Maria nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. Maria, you remember, don't you? He worked for you. He trusted you. And one night, he vanished. They told me you ordered it. They said Antonio died because of you. Leonardo's eyes hardened. He took a deep breath. pain flickering across his face. Leonardo. That's not true. Maria bitterly. Then who was it? Leonardo? Who else could have given that order? The silence that followed was thick, suffocating. Layla looked from her mother to the man she barely knew, her heart twisting. She could feel years of anger, guilt, and confusion burning between them. Leonardo finally spoke, his voice low. Leonardo. Maria, I never wanted Antonio dead. He was like a brother to me. I tried to protect him, but someone inside my circle betrayed us. Maria's lips parted, disbelief and pain clashing in her eyes. Maria, you expect me to believe that? Leonardo, I don't expect you to believe anything. I just need you to know the truth. Leonardo turned slightly, his eyes landing on Layla. He hadn't spoken to her yet, but the way he looked at her made Maria's breath catch. Leonardo softly, you look like her, but your eyes, they're mine. Layla froze. Leela whispering, what did you say? Maria stepped forward, panic flooding her voice. Maria. Leonardo, stop. Don't you dare. He ignored her, his gaze never leaving Layla's face. Leonardo quietly, full of emotion. I didn't just lose Maria 20 years ago. I lost you too, Layla. The words hung in the air, like thunder waiting to strike. Maria covered her mouth, her knees nearly buckling. Layla's eyes widened, confusion, fear, disbelief colliding all at once. Leela, what are you talking about? Lost me? What do you mean? Leonardo took a slow step closer, his voice trembling now, for the first time. Leonardo, you're my daughter. The world stopped. The hum of the city faded. Even the air seemed to vanish. Layla couldn't breathe. Her body went numb. Leela shaking her head. No, no, that's not possible. My father. Maria interrupted, her voice breaking completely. Maria, your father was a man I loved once, but I couldn't let you grow up in his world, Layla. I wanted you safe. Tears streamed down her face as she turned toward Leonardo. Maria, I didn't run because I hated you. I ran because I couldn't let you destroy her too. Leonardo's eyes shimmered with something that looked almost like regret. Leonardo, you think I would have hurt her? Maria angrily. You already hurt everything you touched. The words echoed through the room. Then, silence. Leonardo looked down, his jaw tightening. When he looked up again, his eyes were darker. Leonardo, I never meant for any of it to happen, Maria. But now that I know she exists, I won't lose her again. Maria stepped protectively in front of Layla. Maria firm, trembling. You will stay away from her, Leonardo. I mean it. Leonardo stared at her for a long moment. Then he spoke softly, almost sadly. Leonardo, some truths can't be buried forever. He turned toward the door, signaling his men to move. But before he could step out, a sound shattered the moment. Bang! A gunshot cracked through the window. Glass exploded across the room. Layla screamed. Maria threw herself over her daughter, shielding her. Leonardo's men reacted instantly, drawing weapons, shouting. Bodyguard yelling. Sniper! Everyone down. Leonardo dove behind the couch, grabbing Maria by the arm, pulling her to safety. The bullet had missed, but just barely. It had buried itself into the wall, inches from where Layla had been standing. Leonardo furious, to his men. Find him. Now. The men rushed outside, weapons drawn. The room filled with smoke and silence. Layla's hands were shaking uncontrollably. Maria clutched her daughter, heart pounding, eyes wide with terror. Leonardo looked at the shattered window, his expression dark and cold now. Someone knew he was here. Someone didn't want this reunion to happen. He turned to Maria and Layla, his voice low but deadly calm. Leonardo, this isn't over. You're both in danger now. Maria looked up, breathless. Maria, what do you mean? Leonardo's gaze was sharp as steel. Leonardo, someone wants to erase the past, completely. And they just made the first move. The sirens wailed in the distance. The sunlight outside had dimmed behind thick clouds. And as Leonardo looked back at the mother and daughter he'd just found, One truth echoed inside him. Some secrets don't stay buried. They crawled back to finish what they started. Night fell heavy on the city. The apartment that had been filled with sunlight hours ago now sat in darkness, the shattered window covered by a blanket, the smell of gunpowder still in the air. Maria sat on the couch, clutching a cup of tea that had long gone cold. Layla sat near the window, staring into the shadows beyond the glass, her mind spinning in circles. Everything she thought she knew about her life had shattered. Her mother's past, the tattoo. Leonardo Verezzi, the man she once served coffee to, was her father, and someone out there wanted them all dead. Leonardo stood near the door, phone pressed to his ear, his jaw tight. Leonardo stern, quiet, locked down every route out of the city. I want eyes on every rooftop. Whoever took that shot, he wasn't aiming to scare. He wanted a kill. He ended the call and turned to them. His face looked carved from stone. Maria nervous. What happens now? Leonardo. We find out who did this and why. His voice was calm, but beneath it burned a rage so controlled, it was terrifying. Leela hesitant. Maybe. Maybe it's someone from your enemies. Or someone from your world, not ours. Leonardo's eyes flicked toward her, and for the first time, Layla didn't see a dangerous man. She saw a father, a man who'd lost everything and was ready to fight for what little remained. Maria wanted to stop him. She wanted to say, "Just let it go, Leonardo. We've suffered enough." But deep down, she knew there was no stopping a man like him once his blood ran hot with revenge. He turned toward her. "Leonardo, you said Antonio died because of me. You were wrong. Someone wanted you to believe that. And I think that same someone just tried to finish what they started." Maria quietly. "You think the same person who killed my brother tried to kill us?" Leonardo. "Yes. And this time, he missed." 2 hours later, Leonardo was back in motion, cutting through the city streets, rain streaking down his windshield like tears. His driver, Marco, kept his eyes on the road. Leonardo's phone buzzed. Marco gruff voice. "Boss, you really think it's him? After all these years?" Leonardo low. "I think he never left, and I think he's closer than we thought." He stared out the window as buildings blurred past, his mind trapped between past and present. There was only one name echoing in his head now. Rico Salvani. Rico, once his most trusted ally. Antonio's best friend. The man who vanished the night Antonio died. For 20 years, Leonardo had suspected him. But without proof, he couldn't act. Now, the sniper's bullet had spoken louder than any confession. Back home, Layla watched her mother pace the room restlessly. "Leela, Mom, why didn't you ever tell me? About him? About Leonardo?" Maria stopped. Her eyes glistened with regret. "Maria, because I wanted you to have a normal life, Layla. A peaceful life, away from the blood and fear that came with his name." Layla's voice trembled. "Leela, but you lied. You said Dad died when I was a baby." Maria softly. "He did, in the only way that mattered. The man I loved died the night your uncle disappeared." Tears filled Layla's eyes. Part of her wanted to hate her mother, but another part, the deeper, quieter one, understood. Because deep down, she could feel the truth Maria never said aloud. She hadn't lied out of cruelty. She'd lied out of love. Layla spun around, heart pounding. "Leela, who's there?" Leonardo stepped in, drenched from the rain. His coat was soaked, his eyes sharp. "Leonardo, pack your things. Both of you." Maria fearful. "What happened?" Leonardo. "I found him." The room went still. Leela. "Found who?" Leonardo coldly. "The man who killed your uncle. The man who just tried to kill us." Maria's hands began to shake. Maria barely whispering. "Rico?" Leonardo nodded slowly. "Leonardo. He's been hiding under a false name. He runs a weapons front out of the docks. And he's got people watching this building." Layla's stomach dropped. They weren't safe here anymore. "Leonardo, we're leaving tonight." The black car tore through the back streets, headlights slicing through the rain. Maria clutched Layla's hand, trying not to let her fear show. Leonardo's eyes stayed fixed on the road ahead. Every turn, every shadow, he expected danger. But under that hard exterior, something else was stirring. For the first time in years, he wasn't fighting for his empire. He was fighting for his family. When they reached an old warehouse near the docks, Leonardo ordered Marco to stay with the women. Leonardo, lock the doors. Don't open for anyone except me. Layla grabbed his arm before he could leave. Leela pleading, please don't go alone. He looked down at her, his hand trembling slightly as he brushed a wet strand of hair from her face. Leonardo, I have to, Layla. This ends tonight. And before she could say another word, he was gone, swallowed by the rain and shadows. Inside the warehouse, the air was thick with the smell of oil and rust. Leonardo moved silently, his footsteps echoing softly on the wet concrete. Then, a voice. Rico, mocking tone. I was wondering how long it'd take you to find me, old friend. Leonardo turned toward the sound. Rico stood in the dark, older now, but with the same cold grin. Leonardo low growl. You tried to kill my daughter. Rico chuckled, stepping forward. Rico, daughter? You mean Maria's little secret? You never knew, did you? Leonardo furious. I'm not here to talk. Rico smirked, circling him slowly. Rico, still the same. All rage, no patience. But tell me, Leo, after all these years, do you finally understand what you lost? Leonardo's jaw tightened. Leonardo, I lost everything because of you. Rico calmly. No, you lost everything because you trusted the wrong people. A gun clicked. The echo bounced through the empty warehouse. Rico, you think you're here for revenge, but you're too late. The girl, she's already marked. Leonardo's pulse stopped cold. Leonardo, what did you do? Rico smiled, that same smile Leonardo had seen the night Antonio vanished. Rico, you'll find out soon enough. But for now, he raised the gun. Rico, this is where your story ends. The shot rang out. One body hit the ground. Rain poured harder, masking the sound of the last breath leaving the room. Moments later, footsteps. Leonardo stepped out of the shadows, smoke curling from the barrel of his gun. Rico lay motionless at his feet. But the victory felt empty, because in Rico's dying hand was a small envelope. And on it, written in black ink, were three chilling words. She's not yours. Leonardo's heart stopped. He tore open the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a photograph, Maria, holding a baby wrapped in a white blanket. But written across the photo in red marker were the words, You'll never know the real father. Lightning flashed. Thunder rolled. Leonardo's eyes filled with fury and fear, because for the first time, he wasn't sure what was true anymore. Was Layla really his daughter? Or another secret Maria had buried deep in the dark? The hunt had ended, but the truth had just begun. The storm had passed, but peace hadn't come. Inside an old warehouse by the docks, Leonardo Verezzi stood alone, soaked in blood and rain, the lifeless body of Rico Salvani at his feet. In his trembling hand, the photograph burned like fire. Maria, a baby, and the words written in red, You'll never know the real father. For the first time in decades, Leonardo, the man they called the Iron Wolf, felt powerless. The dawn light crept through the broken windows, painting his face in gold and ash. He looked down at Rico's body, the man who'd stolen 20 years of his life. But now, even dead, Rico's words wouldn't leave him. Leonardo whispering, Layla, is she mine? Or was all of this a lie? He dropped the photograph and fell to his knees, the gun slipping from his hand. The rain outside kept falling, as if the heavens themselves mourned the weight of his sins. Meanwhile, Maria and Layla sat in silence in the car, parked near the edge of the city. Marco, Leonardo's driver, kept a close watch through the rearview mirror. Layla couldn't stop shaking. Every noise, every flash of light made her heart jump. Leela softly, do you think he's safe? Maria looked away, her voice thin and weary. Maria, with Leonardo's safety doesn't exist. only survival. They didn't notice the figure stepping out of the shadows. A tall man in a long coat, Rico's second in command. He had followed Leonardo's car all night. And now, his eyes locked onto the vehicle where Maria and Layla waited. He whispered into a radio, meant coldly, "They're here." Before anyone could react, a gunshot shattered the window. Glass rained down. Marco shouted, spinning the wheel hard. Maria screaming, "Layla, get down." The car swerved off the narrow road, tires screeching against wet gravel. Another shot, this time hitting the back door. The car slammed into a wooden fence and came to a stop. Smoke rose from the hood. The world was spinning. Layla's ears rang. She turned, dazed, her mother clutching her bleeding shoulder. Leela panicked. "Mom! Mom, stay with me." Maria weakly. "I'm fine. Just go, Layla." "Run." Leela. "No, I'm not leaving you." But before they could move, headlights cut through the fog, a black car pulling up fast. The driver's door opened. Leonardo stepped out, his eyes wild with fury. His hand still wrapped around the same gun he'd used to kill Rico. He saw the blood on Maria's shirt, and his heart snapped in two. Leonardo furious roar. "Marco! Get them out!" Marco dragged the door open as bullets tore through the night. Leonardo fired back, his shots precise, deadly. Two attackers dropped instantly. Another fled into the woods. The silence that followed was deafening. Maria was losing strength. Her blood soaked through the blanket Leonardo pressed against her wound. Leonardo softly, breaking, "Stay with me, Maria. Don't you dare leave me again." Maria weak smile. "You always were dramatic, even when we were young." Her laugh was faint, like a ghost fading into air. Leela crying, "Please, someone call an ambulance." Leonardo to Marco. "How?" As the car sped through the city, Leonardo held Maria's hand tightly. Every heartbeat felt like it was slipping away. He remembered the nights he spent searching for her. The way her voice once sounded when she sang at the small bar in Naples. The way her eyes glowed when she looked at him before fear replaced love. Leonardo's voice cracking. "I should have found you sooner, I should have." Maria weakly interrupting. "No. You found me now. That's enough." At the hospital, everything moved in chaos. Nurses shouting, lights flashing, doors slamming. They wheeled Maria into the emergency room, her hand slipping from his. Leonardo stood frozen in the hallway, drenched in rain and blood. He wasn't the feared mafia boss anymore. He was just a man watching the only woman he ever loved fade away. Hours passed. Layla sat by her mother's bedside, whispering prayers under her breath. Leonardo stood near the window, staring at the rising sun, the sky streaked with pink and silver. The doctor entered, face heavy. Doctor quietly. "She's stable. For now." But she lost a lot of blood. Relief washed over Layla like a wave. She leaned over, kissing her mother's forehead. Maria faintly. "Layla, come closer." "Leela." "I'm here, Mom." Maria's eyes moved slowly to Leonardo. Her voice trembled. "Maria, she needs to know the truth." Leonardo looked up sharply. "Leonardo." "Maria, not now." Maria softly. "She deserves it." Maria took a deep breath, her hand trembling in Layla's. Maria whispering, "Layla, Leonardo isn't your father." The room went silent. Even the machines seemed to hold their breath. Leela frozen. "What?" Tears rolled down Maria's cheeks. "Maria, your real father was Antonio, Leonardo's brother." Leonardo's head dropped, eyes glistening. He had suspected it, but hearing it tore through him like a knife. Leonardo softly. "I knew the moment I saw her eyes." Maria reached out weakly, her voice breaking. "Maria, I never meant to hide it. You were both brothers, both lost. I loved Antonio first, but when he died, Leonardo saved me. I didn't want to destroy what little peace I had left." Leela through tears. "So, all this time, you both lied to me?" Maria. "I did it to protect you." Leela crying. "From what?" From love? From truth? Maria tried to speak, but pain overtook her. The monitor beeped faster. Doctor rushing in. She's going into shock. They pulled Layla back. Leonardo held Maria's hand as her breath came shorter, weaker. Maria barely whispering. Take care of her, Leonardo, please. Leonardo, tears streaming. I swear it, Maria. I'll protect her with my life. A final breath. Then, silence. The machine flatlined. And just like that, the woman who had been the bridge between two brothers, between love and ruin, was gone. Days later, the rain returned. A small funeral. No flowers, no crowd. Just three people, Leonardo, Layla, and Marco, standing beneath a gray sky. As the coffin lowered into the earth, Layla felt her knees weaken. Leonardo caught her before she fell. Leela sobbing. She died because of this life. Leonardo. She died because of me. Leela looking at him, voice trembling. Then make it mean something. End it. That night, Leonardo burned everything. The files, the money trails, the black books that kept his empire alive. Flames devoured decades of blood and secrets. He stood before the fire, his face glowing orange and gold. For once, the fear was gone. Only resolve remained. Leonardo quietly, to himself, this ends with me. Layla stepped beside him, her voice steady despite the tears. Leela, you can't erase the past, but maybe we can start again. He looked at her, not as the daughter he once claimed, but as the child of the brother he'd lost. Still, his love didn't change. Leonardo softly, your father would be proud of you. Leela, so would you, if you finally let yourself live. The flames burned through the night, a funeral for every sin they had both carried. When morning came, Leonardo walked away from the ashes, his steps heavy but free. Layla followed beside him, her hand slipping into his. Not bound by blood, but by something stronger, redemption. And as the sun rose over the quiet city, the past finally stopped chasing them. They didn't have all the answers, but for the first time they weren't afraid to face the future, because sometimes blood creates pain, but love, even broken, scarred, and imperfect, brings redemption.